Good evening, one and all present here. I hope I am audible to everyone. Thank you for confirming the audible factor. Welcome to Patliputra Sahodaya School Complex. And today we shall begin the training with a short prayer. Kindly join your hands and join me in the prayer.
शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तु ते दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तु ते दीपज्योतिः परब्रह्म दीपज्योतिर्जनार्दनः दीपज्योतिर्परब्रह्म दीपज्योतिर्जनार्दनः दीपो हरतु मे पापम् सन्ध्यादीपनमोऽस्तु ते ओ दीपब्रह्मरूपस्त्वं ज्योतिषां प्रभुरव्ययः ओ दीपब्रह्मरूपस्त्वं ज्योतिषां प्रभुरव्ययः आरोग्यं देहि पुत्रांश्च मतिं स्वच्छां हि मे सदा रवेरस्तं समारभ्य यावत् सूर्योदयो भवेत् रवेरस्तं समारभ्य यावत् सूर्योदयो भवेत् यस्य तिष्ठे गृहे दीपः तस्य नास्ति दरिद्रता शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तु ते दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तु ते शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः
Thank you very much for joining me in the prayer. I hope it was visible and audible to all of you. I can see a lot of affirmations on the screen. Thank you very much. Okay, so let me get back into the session. And while I'm doing so, it gives me immense pleasure to express my gratitude to Patliputra Sahodaya School Complex, Dr. Rajiv Ranjan Sinha sir, who's been very, very kind in inviting me multiple times to this beautiful platform of brilliant educators. I'd love to express my gratitude to Inshar Rahman ma'am as well, who's taken time off to coordinate with me for this session. Not a word and not forgetting Sri Tarun Kumar sir, Joint Secretary, CBSE Admin, former head COE Patna, who has connected us and brought us together miles away on this one beautiful platform. So with this, I formally welcome every one of you into this session on advanced lesson planning. And without much ado, let me just begin with the PPT. All right. So voice is not lagging. I have a wonderful network, very robust connectivity. In case if you are not able to hear me, please log out and log in again. Okay, some people have mentioned something on the chat for me. Okay, thank you. Thank you to all those of you who had something to tell me. So this is Ms. Khyati Dwarkadas, HOD Social Science, Master Trainer and Resource Person CBSE, Innovation Ambassador MOE CBSE ICTE, presenting today's session on Advanced Lesson Planning, the NEP way in front of you. Is there really no audio? Someone at PSSC, if you could kindly confirm. Oh, thank you. Thank you. The voice is clearly audible. Thank you very much. So, in the chat box, मुझे बड़ी खुशी होगी यदि आप लोग चैट बॉक्स में मुझे बता पाएंगे कि लेसन प्लान के कंपोनेंट्स क्या है. Objectives, outcomes, planning, methodology, strategies, modules, tools, evaluation, competencies, moral values, background knowledge, previous knowledge, assessments, pre-plan, activities, teaching learning processes, teaching aids, TLM, interdisciplinary approaches. Beautiful. Let's clap for all of you. आप बड़े अच्छे हो, जल्दी जल्दी अच्छे अच्छे आंसर दे रहे हो. Demonstrations, feedback and the list is endless. But आप लोगों के लिए तालियां, आप लोग बड़े जल्दी ही फटाफट आज respond कर रहे हैं. That is what makes our session so great. So what are we going to do today? What are we discussing? We're going to be discussing NEP 2020 with learning outcomes, NEP and the competencies given into us, learning objectives and learning outcomes. थोड़ा सा अंतर है दोनों में, वो क्या है? Types of assessment जो हम करते हैं वो क्या है? Essential components of a lesson plan, and we'll go through a couple of sample lesson plans. So why plan? इसका उत्तर दीजिए. Why plan? To help you manage time, to set the objectives, to develop a base, to complete the course on time, for systematic education, to make the lesson more effective, exactly to make the transaction of the curriculum better. So as they say, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Therefore, we should always plan the lesson. Yes, be prepared for the worst situation. So NEP has been talking about learning outcomes to us. And it says that India is undergoing a learning crisis with 5 crore elementary school children lacking basic skills of foundational literacy and numeracy. आपने देखा ही होगा पिछले 4 वर्षों में एफएलएन को हमने कितना महत्व दिया है, बोर्ड ने, गवर्नमेंट ने, राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा नीति ने. तो it is defined as the ability to read and comprehend basic text, ability to carry out basic addition and subtraction with Indian numerals. कुछ ज्यादा नहीं करवा रहे हैं बोर्ड वाले हमसे, बेसिक ही करवा रहे हैं. Or the absence of FLN skills is conceptualized as lack because low literacy proficiency indicates poor preparedness for the labor market. तो हम बच्चों से मजदूरी तो नहीं करवाएंगे, बच्चे बड़े हो जाएंगे तब उनको हम अपने अपने कुछ अच्छे करियर्स में भी जाने देंगे, लेकिन आज जो हमारी हालत है उससे तो बच्चे मजदूर भी बन नहीं पाएंगे, उनको बेसिक पढ़ना लिखना ही असंभव लग रहा है. So let's take a look at the 5 key goals of National Curriculum Framework. अब NCF से हम क्या जानते हैं? तो NCF हमें ये दिखा रहा है that development of academic, emotional, physical aspects. Secondly, help students to develop intellectual quotient by providing them with multiple opportunities. Create a curriculum that promotes quality teaching learning processes. Foster creative and critical thinking by facilitating different activities. And finally, provide students with the liberty to express individual thoughts. तो आप देखोगे 1 2 3 4 5 करके वो बार ग्राफ भी बना दिया है आपके लिए. आप एक एक ग्राफ को एक एक पॉइंट के साथ को रिलेट भी कर पाएंगे. So let us look at the recommendations of NEP. Students take more responsibility for their own learning. So it has to be more engaging. Strategic enhancement of technology-based learning, exploration. Ensure that teaching caters to full spread of ability in the class. That's differentiated learning. And focus on inquiry-based learning and development of critical thinking skills. और यदि आपने CBP किया है क्रिटिकल एंड क्रिएटिव थिंकिंग पर, तो आपका भी थोड़ा बहुत क्रिटिकल थिंकिंग स्टार्ट हो चुका होगा. और ऐसे ही चैलेंजिंग टास्क से हमें बच्चों को एंगेज रखना है. NEP ने हमें 5 ई शब्द दिए हैं: एंगेज, एक्सप्लोर, एक्सप्लेन, इलैबोरेट, इवैल्यूएट. और कार्पलो की थ्योरी में हमें 5 ई का मॉडल मिलता है, which focuses on allowing students to understand a concept over time through a series of established steps or phrases. These phases include engage, explore, explain, elaborate, and evaluate. Now, there are some competencies that are needed to be built in students through lesson planning. And these competencies are on your screen. What are competencies? A combination of knowledge, skill, and attitude. तो बच्चे के अंदर इन competencies को, योग्यताओं को हमें बनाना है. और ये आप देख सकते हैं स्क्रीन पर: पर्सनल ग्रोथ एंड वेलबींग, कल्चरल ग्लोबल सिटीजनशिप, कोलैबोरेशन, कम्युनिकेशन, क्रिएटिविटी एंड इनोवेशन, मैनेजिंग इंफॉर्मेशन, क्रिटिकल थिंकिंग एंड प्रॉब्लम सॉल्विंग. इतनी योग्यताओं को बच्चों में हमें बनाना है. मैंने आपको पूछा नहीं है, बनाना है. साथ ही में 21st century skills भी we have to inculcate in our children. These skills include life skills, career skills, learning and innovation skills, and information and media technology skills. So when we look at 21st century skills, we are talking about standards and assessments, curriculum and instruction, professional development, learning learning environment. And information, media, technology, these are other important subjects. And knowing key subjects like 3 hours, English, math, and computers have the same 3 hours in them. Plus, they have the competencies that we need to build in our children. So the 3 hours reading, writing, and arithmetic, you will be able to see in your key subjects. Now I have a quiz for you. I'm going to stop sharing this screen and I'm going to give you the quiz link in the chat box. And I'll wait for you to quickly log into the quiz and see what we can do. As soon as you finish the quiz, you have to write your score for me in the chat box. So I cannot tell you whether it's very nice or not, but I have put in the quiz link and I need everyone to play, and all 3,000 of you have to be giving me your result in the next 2 minutes. So I'm sure the quiz was fun. I'm sure you have put in, I am sure you have put in my link and joined. I am sure you have done the quiz. I have given you the link in the chat box. Very good. Somebody's got hybrid. Beautiful. Senarita Guha. Congratulations. मैं 2 बार लिंक दे चुकी हूँ चैट बॉक्स में और ये तीसरी बार दे रही हूँ। माई साउंड इज नॉट स्लो। क्विज में 5 नंबर आपको आ ही नहीं सकते थे। इस लिंक में आपको आपकी टीचिंग स्टाइल पता चलती। सुषमा कुमारी, आपने क्विज अटेम्प्ट ही नहीं की है। क्विज लिंक मैंने चैट बॉक्स में दी थी और 3-4 बार दे चुकी हूँ विद होप कि आपने अटेम्प्ट कर ली है। फिर भी जिन्होंने अब तक नहीं किए उनके लिए मैं दिखा रही हूँ क्विज कहाँ है। आपने यदि क्विज लिंक जो मैंने दी है उसको अटेम्प्ट की है तो ये आपके लिए ये पेज खुलता। व्हाट्स योर टीचिंग स्टाइल? You would have clicked on start and you would have got your questions. So many people are now getting blended. Group style of teaching is also what some people are getting. Very good. I'm clapping for you. And coming back to my original presentation, I will be sharing that screen as well now. Yes, just allow me to share that screen. I think now you're able to view the other screen. Very good, Priya Singh, demonstrator style. But most of us got hybrid, no problem at all. It's unique to us the way we teach. Now look at this, these are the 4 quadrants. These are the 4 quadrants of the 4 styles: authoritarian, authoritative, permissive and uninvolved. So एक वो नहीं होते अलग अलग टाइप के टीचर्स। एक वो होते हैं जिनको कोई फर्क ही नहीं पड़ता और एक वो होते हैं जो सीआईडी जैसे माय आईज आर विथ यू। और एक वो टाइप के टीचर होते हैं जो बच्चों की जगह बदलते रहते हैं क्लास में जाते ही। और एक वो प्रकार के टीचर होते हैं जो टेस्ट लेते रहते हैं। तो हम इनमें से कौन से प्रकार के टीचर हैं? ऑथोरिटेरियन, ऑथोरिटेटिव, परमिसिव और अनइन्वॉल्व्ड, जो बहुत सारे स्ट्रिक्ट रूल्स फॉलो करते हैं, पनिशमेंट्स देते रहते हैं। I am the boss, this is what will happen in my class because I say so. एक वो प्रकार के लोग होते हैं, who are the authoritarian ones. But authoritative, they are self-regulated, assertive, dynamic. The permissive ones follow policies of appeasement. भैया आप मेरे दल में आ जाओ बस, तो हमारा दल आगे बढ़ेगा। बहुत लीनियंट होते हैं परमिसिव वाले टीचर। बेटा आपको पानी पीना है पानी पियो, वॉशरूम जाना है जाओ। मार्क्स देने में भी टीचर आंख बंद करके नंबर देते हैं। ये वैसे वाले टीचर हैं। इनका रोल एक फिक्स करना थोड़ा मुश्किल हो जाता है क्योंकि परमिसिव है। एंड जो एक अनइन्वॉल्व टीचर है ना, वो कैसे इस प्रोफेशन में है वही हमें पता नहीं है। इनको शिक्षण से भी कुछ नाम लेना न देना, इनको शिक्षा पद्धति से भी कुछ लेना न देना, राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा नीति से भी इनको कुछ लेना न देना। These are the ones who distance themselves from everyone. They are uninterested in what's happening in the class. क्लास शोर मचा रही, अच्छा मचाने दो शोर, मैं क्या करूं। They are the neglectful, passive, absent teachers. So why do we need to plan? There are two answers. One is an answer for the teacher, one is an answer for the student. For the student, it is a structured, easy to assimilate plan. All right. And the senior secondary teacher's devotion and well organized work. We have a model to imitate. For the world, it provides a record to the teacher. It helps keep a good classroom management, good control. It shows commitment and professionalism of the teacher. It helps develop a personal style of teaching. Now, in lesson planning, we have four major subparts: the goals, the actions, demonstrated learning outcomes, and the environment. In the goals, what do you want students to be able to do, know, or understand by the end of the lesson plan? हम बच्चों से क्या expect करते हैं? What are your actions as a teacher in breaking down difficult concepts? How are you going to break down the substance of the lesson in order to make it easy for the students to remember? When you demonstrate your learning, how will you and your students know if they have achieved the goal? Therefore, you have the D, achievement. अब जितने लोग अभी भी वो पहले वाली क्विज कर रहे हैं वो कृपया छोड़ दे, लिंक आप ही के पास है, आप बाद में भी कर सकते हैं. अभी सेशन में थोड़ा ध्यान दे तो आप ही के लिए बेहतर होगा. The last part, the last stage of lesson planning comes with E, or the environment. What do you physically need to do to facilitate learning? So a successful lesson plan integrates three components: what students should know and understand, what the teacher is learning, the activities, and which of these activities will be used further, and what can I or how will I check for new learning. अब इन्हीं तीनों को अगर हम ब्रेकआउट कर दें तो first circle is the objective, second is the lesson progression, and the third is the assessment or plenary, because you are checking for learning. Like I told you in the beginning of the session, we will be talking about objectives and outcomes in brief. The learning objective of a topic is a specimen statement quite specific to teachers in the region. It is a specific statement of the intention to teach and what the teacher intends to cover. And the teacher hopes that he or she will have achieved it by the end of the lesson. But when you look at learning outcomes, it is a statement of what a learner should know, understand, and be able to demonstrate after completing a process of a lesson. My voice is very loud. Log in again. About what the learner is able to demonstrate after the course of instruction or classroom transaction. Now, a lesson plan has three basic steps: what you do before the class, what you do during the class, and what you do after the class. PSSC will definitely let me know if my voice is not reaching them. Before the class, you will identify the objectives. You will plan the specific activities, assessments, lesson, sequence of the lesson, how do you wish to develop it? Create a realistic timeline and plan for lesson closure. Most teachers do not plan for lesson closure. However, it is very important that you plan your lesson closure. During the class, you share the outline of your lesson plan with the students. This will help them stay more engaged and focused. And after the class, you reflect upon what you have done, what worked for you, what you think you could have improved upon, and what went well. So there are 9 very interesting ways to learn by doing, by sitting on yourself on a Chinese stool, by interacting with other people, reading, reasoning, facing challenges, feeling force, substorm, and by seeing, by vision. And there are some ways here in which you can give students more control of the learning of their own. You can make them responsible for their own learning. You give them flexibility in homework. You vary the assessments, personalize your content, adjust your schedule, set goals, self-assessment techniques, etc. How do students learn best? When they're willing to and able to work independently on demand and on materials that are assigned to them. They feel like information applies to the real world around them. Have the ability to review material multiple times at their own pace. The material has to be conducive to the learning environment and to the age group of the learner. Take ownership of their own education and feel comfortable with the top pedagogy. So just as we did the quiz on teaching styles, here I'm showing you a diagram on learning styles so that you do not need to waste much of your time. Look at the 4 types of learning styles that we have: visual, oral, reading, writing, and kinesthetic or bodily, which involves movement. So when a child dances or plays or something, demonstrates some skills. Why is differentiated instruction necessary? Because in our classrooms, we have diverse learners. And these diverse learners have different needs. Therefore, we have to give them what they need. If a child can't learn the way we teach, we have to teach the way in which the child learns. So we have to change the method of instruction for these special children. Children with special needs also have learning, development, medical, behavior, and mental health issues. However, as a teacher, while differentiating instruction, we can help them come up to the class level. So there are verbs in the Bloom's taxonomy, from the lower order of remember to the higher order of creation. These are the 6 topics of the Bloom's taxonomy of the cognitive domain. And you may quickly choose to take a screenshot of the action verbs that can be used with each. Now, why am I saying a quick screenshot would be useful? Because if that action verb is not mine, uh, but Bloom's taxonomy, the 6 levels from lower order to higher order are given on your screen. And these action verbs are very important. You may take a screenshot of these action verbs. When you look at them, they talk about remember and understand, which are the first two levels of the Bloom's taxonomy, which are the lower order. Apply comes in the middle order. Analyze, evaluate, and create come in the higher order. And you have all the 6 levels of the cognitive domain covered here through these action verbs, which you may use in your lesson planning. Take a quick screenshot. I'll give you a moment. Then when we come to types of assessment also, we have 3 types of assessment as we all know. We have assessment for learning, assessment as learning, assessment of learning. So when we say assessment for learning, it enables the teachers to use information about students' knowledge, understanding, and skills to inform their teaching. Teachers give a quick feedback to the students about their learning and how to improve their own performance. Assessment as learning involves learning process where they monitor their own progress. They ask questions and practice skills. Students use self-assessment and teacher feedback to reflect on their learning. They consolidate their understanding and work towards learning goals. And finally, you have assessment of learning, where teachers use this evidence to student learning to assess student achievement against learning goals and standards. And assessments have 5 key strategies. First, we share our expectations with the students. So the outcome for assessment has been shared. Then you elicit evidence where the student has done well. You provide a feedback. What could have been done to improve the student's performance? We don't normally write good or bad. We write what the child can do to improve. Then you give self-assessment opportunities to the child and let the child also do peer assessment with a partner or a friend or a buddy. That will be assessment for learning. Now, our lesson plan that we are doing based on NEP will include all of this. Learning objectives and outcomes, like you very rightly told me. Some warm-up activities that we would need to do before we start the lesson in the class. That we would need for the lesson, including ICT. Then prior knowledge check. So we would obviously need to take a quick knowledge check of prior knowledge. Introduction of new learning. A variety of activities to keep the students engaged. Cross-curricular linkages or multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary approach. Application of what we are doing in the daily life of the child. Differentiated teaching for differentiated learners. And assessment also will be differentiated. Higher order thinking skill activities and questions for the gifted students. A recap time or a summary time. A little research project. And finally a plenary or an assessment. यानी इतनी चीजें तो हमें एक लेसन के साथ हर दिन हर पीरियड में करनी ही करनी है. So these I have a few sample differentiated learning objectives at different levels. So you can see for the beginning level, you have learning objectives are never differentiated based on student level of mastery. All students address the same learning objective at the same time. Then if you move to the developing stage, learning objectives are rarely differentiated on content mastery. Practicing stage, learning objectives are sometimes differentiated based on student content mastery. And achieving stage, learning objectives are regularly differentiated based on student level of content mastery. Now, these are the 9 events of instruction we need to follow in our lesson plan. This we get from Gaine's 9 events of instruction. And this is the licensed version of the instruction. First is you gain attention. Gain attention, आप देख रहे हैं वहां पे gain attention में एक बच्चा बैठा है जिसके ऊपर बर्फ की बाल्टी उल्टी की जा रही है. So this is gaining attention. This is engaging the learners, an activity to engage the learners. कि हम ऐसा क्या कर रहे हैं आज क्लास में जाकर ताकि हर बच्चे का अटेंशन हमारे ऊपर रहे, हम जो पढ़ाने वाले हैं उस पर रहे. Then you inform the learner of the objectives and now learning outcomes. You check the prior learning of the children, prior knowledge, कितना knowledge उनको, कितना ज्ञान किस बात का है, you check for that. Then you deliver your present content. Provide guidance. So we do guided activity and we give practice for that, which becomes an independent activity when the child does it without our guidance. Then we provide feedback. क्या कर सकते थे, कैसे कर सकते थे, सही गलत बताना हमारा काम है. Provide feedback. We assess the performance. And with that, we realize that we need to either enhance retention or transfer to the next job by restarting the cycle and gaining attention. तो ये एक बड़ा जरूरी प्रोसेस है. हम हर दिन इसी प्रोसेस को दोहराते रहते हैं जितने भी हमारे पीरियड होते हैं. तो लेसन स्टार्ट कैसे करते हैं? स्टूडेंट अटेंशन गेन करके उनको ऑब्जेक्टिव बताते हैं एंड लर्निंग आउटकम्स उनको समझाते हैं ताकि वो हमेशा हमारी कक्षा में फोकस्ड रहे और कुछ ना करते रहे. अब अटेंशन सीकिंग हम कैसे करेंगे? या तो हम उनको कोई कहानी बताएंगे, कोई क्विज करेंगे, कोई सर्वे या कोई ऑनलाइन क्विज या कोई अखबार की कहानी या कोई सॉफ्ट बोर्ड जो हम पढ़ रहे हैं या कोई किताब जो हम पढ़ रहे हैं उससे कोई इवेंट लेकर हम उनसे बात करेंगे तो उनका अटेंशन हम गेन करेंगे. फिर लर्निंग ऑब्जेक्टिव्स बताएंगे, उनको अलग अलग तरीकों से उनका प्रीवियस नॉलेज हम चेक करेंगे. यानी या तो हम एक क्विज खेल सकते हैं या कोई ऐसी बातें करेंगे जिससे हमें पता चल जाए कि इनको पहले का कितना ज्ञान है, या तो हम डायरेक्टली उनको प्रश्न करेंगे और हमें पता चल जाएगा. उसके बाद वी विल प्रेजेंट द करंट कंटेंट जो हम पढ़ाना चाहते हैं. बहुत सारी एक्टिविटीज, रीडिंग्स, लेक्चर्स, वीडियोस, गेम्स, ऐसे कर करके गेमिफिकेशन, अरे पूरा कंटेंट हम ऑर्गेनाइज करके सीक्वेंस में डाल के उनको बताएंगे. अभी आप लोग कितनी बार अभी भी लिख रहे हैं कि आपकी टीचिंग स्टाइल कौन सी है, तो आपकी टीचिंग स्टाइल के बेस पर आप ऐसे न्यू कंटेंट को प्रेजेंट करेंगे. तो ब्लूम्स टैक्सोनॉमी को भी हम यूज करेंगे. मैंने अभी अभी आपको दिखाए वर्ब्स, लोअर ऑर्डर, मिडिल ऑर्डर और हायर ऑर्डर. तो it will also help us in differentiated teaching learning. फिर जो एक्टिविटीज हम करवाएंगे उनके लिए हम गाइडेंस देंगे, हम उनको अलग अलग मॉडल से गाइड करेंगे. तो बच्चे गाइडेड प्रैक्टिस करेंगे. उसके बाद बच्चे अपनी स्किल्स जो सीखी हुई है उसको अपने आप इंडिपेंडेंटली प्रैक्टिस करेंगे. Then we give them a feedback with lots of examples on how they can improve. Then we assess the performance of the students. When we are assessing, we assess learning outcomes, not what the students don't know. And then we enhance retention and transfer knowledge to the next step. So here I can show you what a lesson plan would look like. Title, duration, who is the teacher, which group do the learners belong to, learning outcomes. At the end of this lesson, बच्चे क्या सीखेंगे? What are we planning for the method? Then what is the type of assessment? How are we going to check on previous knowledge? And how will we assess the learning outcomes? What are the resources required? Chart, blackboard, textbook, reference books, map, journal, lab, some technology. What would you require? All of that will be listed here. Then evaluation, which is a student evaluation. Was the session too difficult or easy? Were the students motivated? Why or why not? Did the students achieve the learning outcomes? Was the teacher evaluation appropriate? How did the learners behave? Did they discipline themselves? How would you improve your own lesson to make it better? तो ये लेसन प्लान पूरा ऐसे दिखता. आप इसमें गाइडेड प्रैक्टिस, इंडिविजुअल प्रैक्टिस और इंडिपेंडेंट स्टडी, डिफरेंशिएशन के लिए आपने क्या किया, असेसमेंट, आप हर चीज को दिखा सकते हैं. ऐसे लेसन प्लान जो आप अभी स्क्रीन पर देख रहे हैं, हमारे यहाँ भी फॉलो होते हैं. हम करिकुलर गोल्स भी बताते हैं बच्चों को, competencies, then we tell them the skills that will be developed in the lesson, pedagogical strategies, activities, what was the class doing when the teacher was teaching, so the classwork, and obviously the resources. Sometimes जब हमें सेशन एंड करना हो, क्लास एंड करना हो, तो हमें कोई असेसमेंट के तरीके चाहिए होते हैं. तो एग्जिट टिकट्स हैं, क्रॉस एंड जीरो है, जस्ट अ मिनट गेम्स है, गिव मी 5, ऐसे बहुत सारे तरीकों से. ये तो कोई रैंडम सोल्यूशन है, पर ऐसे बहुत सारे तरीके हैं जिससे आप ये काम कर सकते हैं. सो आई वांट टू शो यू अ सैम्पल लेसन प्लान हियर. This is a social science lesson plan, mostly for class 7 or 8. Which is learner-centered, integrated, holistic, flexible, discussion-based, inquiry-based, enjoyable, and experiential. Class 8, 35 to 40-minute period. You look at the general teaching aids, illustrative aids, general aims of the lesson, then the learning outcomes of the cognitive, affective, and psychomotor domain. हम Bloom's की अकेली cognitive नहीं, but hand, head, and heart. Cognitive, affective, and psychomotor, तीनों domain को हम use करते हैं. So then the teacher will ask a few questions and check on previous knowledge. You will do an icebreaker activity. You can see here, the activity is also shown to you. It's a game of dice. Pre-teaching activity, जब टीचर क्वेश्चन पूछेगा तो स्टूडेंट क्या आंसर देंगे, दैट ये भी एक तरीका है लेसन प्लान करने का, कि आप आंसर्स भी साथ में लिख रखें, ताकि अगर कोई इसमें से प्रश्न काउंटर आएगा आपको तो आप उसके लिए भी prepared है. Then the teacher announces the topic and presents the topic with student interaction. Then look at the way in which the lesson has been developed. टीचर क्या क्या प्रश्न पूछेगी, क्या एक्सप्लेन करेगी, टीचर क्या बोलेगी, टीचर्स के स्टेटमेंट क्या होंगे, ब्लैक बोर्ड पर क्या आएगा, एक एक टॉपिक के लिए बताया गया है. So you can see कि even photographs are going to be displayed in the class. फिर एक्टिविटीज भी दिख रही है, एमसीक्यू दिख रहा है, फोटोग्राफ से पिक्चर आइडेंटिफाई करना भी दिख रहा है. सो यू कैन सी द टीचर इज बिल्डिंग अप फ्रॉम वेरी सिंपल क्वेश्चंस टू हायर ऑर्डर क्वेश्चंस. Where there is another case study here, criminal law and civil law. Then generalization, recap के लिए 5 मिनट हमेशा रखनी चाहिए. होमवर्क भी दिया है इस टीचर ने, एंड कहाँ से इस पूरा लेसन टीचर ने कंपाइल किया होगा, सोचा होगा, वो सारे रेफरेंसेस भी दिए हैं. ऐसे ही साइंस में मैग्नेटिज्म का ग्रेड 6 का लेसन प्लान आप देख सकते हैं, ऐसा बना है. Spirit of scientific inquiry. The different kinds of questions that are being asked are being highlighted for you. Then this is from English. Class 6, textbook is Honeysuckle. This is grade 5. So with this, I'd like to express my gratitude to Patliputra Sahoday School Complex for inviting me and giving me this opportunity to present this session on advanced lesson planning the NEP way in front of all of you 3,000 plus participants. I hope you had a great time. I would love to hear your questions and comments in the chat box. Anything that you have for me to say, something that you would want to know from me, I can see a very wonderful feedback. Thank you very much for that humble. I feel very humbled and honored by that kind of a feedback. I am happy you liked the quiz. If you haven't attempted it, please feel free to attempt it. I would like to thank Dr. Rajiv Ranjan Sinha sir and Insha Rahman ma'am for this opportunity to present this session in front of you. I would like to thank all of you interactive educators who've constantly been using the chat for interactions with me. Thank you so very much. And yes, I would take the pleasure and extend my heartfelt gratitude to Sri Tarun Kumar sir, Joint Secretary Admin CBSE, former head COE Patna, for connecting us together and showing to us that being miles apart, distance is only a factor. Otherwise, our hearts are bound by this wonderful WebEx platform. So once again, thank you very much. And I'm looking forward to comments and questions or a feedback for me if you have any. मैथ्स के लेसन प्लान्स के लिए तो आप कोई भी वेबसाइट पे चले जाइए, आप केवल अपना टॉपिक टाइप कीजिए। आजकल तो एनसीईआरटी एंड दीक्षा भी आपको लेसन प्लान्स दे देते हैं, पर हमेशा लेसन प्लान हमें खुद को बनाना चाहिए। All right. And thank you very much. Somebody sitting here at PSSC manning today's session, making the link, sharing it. Thank you very, very much. मोटिवेशन में आप कैसे बच्चों को फीडबैक दोगे, मोटिव और आगे मोटिवेट करोगे आगे बढ़ाने के लिए? मुझे बड़ी खुशी हुई कि आप सभी को ये सेशन बहुत पसंद आया।